tell me A, B, and C's of the bond. What are the basics? How much is it? What are we looking at?
Okay, so the bond is for $157,115,000. It is to build 2 new elementary schools. It would be K-5 buildings. It's to renovate Douglas, our early childhood center. There are renovations to Barbara Bush, which would be our 3rd K-5 elementary, and then there are some renovations to Bowie campus. It will no longer house students, but there will be some staff relocation there.
Okay, let's break it down even further. So you said there's going to be staff at one, and then the other one. What's happening there?
So our early childhood center is being renovated. So it would be things like paint, flooring, some ADA compliance things. It would be new playgrounds, and it would be the same for Barbara Bush. And then Bowie is it's an existing primary campus for us, but there would be our special program staff would be relocated there.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the 2 new brand new elementary schools. Excuse me. When did you see the need for that?
Well, the committee began its work back in September, and so we started with a committee of about 47 community members, and they studied the district finance, they studied facilities, age of facilities, existing conditions, and began to prioritize and put together this bond package.
What specific things did you see in those schools that was like, okay, we might need to be looking at building some new facilities? This is a large investment.
Sure, it's a large investment. So some of these facilities are, our oldest building that we would be replacing is 70 years old. So, there's just some deterioration and things like that that come with buildings of this age.
Yeah, absolutely. This is $157 million. When was the last time that a district called for a bond? When was the last successful one? Just so we can talk about that a little more.
Sure, so the last successful bond was in 2009. The district did go out for bond twice in 2022, but both of those bonds were unsuccessment.
Mm-hmm. So, like I said, this is $157. This is $157 million, excuse me. This is a lot of money. It is an investment in the youngest schools. So what is your message to people who are going to be voting for this now, but also to people in the future who are going to be paying for this over time?
Sure. So my message would just be that we would encourage our constituents, our voters, to be informed, and then come to the polls and vote. That's what our goal is really to, through this entire bond campaign, is to our goal is to be transparent and make sure that we've provided all of the information that that our community members would need in order to make an informed decision when they come to the polls.
Mm-hmm. Is anyone in the district going to see any tax increases because of this?
Yeah, so this bond does include a tax increase of 1/4 of 1 penny. So what that equates to for us on Hopkins CAD at the County Appraisal District, the average home value in Sulphur Springs is $158,000. So this would equate to about a $1.47 increase per year on a home of that value with a homestead exemption.
So you said you called a bond a couple of years ago. Why is it now a good time to do this again?
Sure, just the need for facility renovations and new facilities. It's just it's time that our children are able to attend school in some updated, up-to-date, newer facilities.
What is the plan should the bond not pass?
We would just have to regroup and determine our next best step forward.
Obviously, this is about our youngest students. So how is this bond going to serve students? Because this is going to be a lot of parents going to the polls thinking about students not just now, but students in the future. So
Sure.
How do you think this is going to help students on a day-to-day basis?
So the district has an enrollment of around 4,400 students, and this would touch about half of our students. So it touches every child through 5th grade. So part of the things that we discussed with the committee and putting together this package was looking at a long-term facility plan. And so coming back and making some renovations to secondary facilities would come at a later date, whenever that time would be right.
Last thing I can think of, let's look at these new elementary schools. What are we going to be able to see, these things, these new schools? What are we going to be able to look forward to?
Sure. So if the bond were to pass on May the 4th, we would begin design, and that process takes about 9, maybe 10 months. So we would be looking at going out for bid for construction in probably February of 25. And so from the time that ground is broke, it would be about 18 months. So we would be looking at possibly fall of 26, maybe spring of 27 before we were actually moving students into these new buildings.
But no preliminary design plans or anything like that, but just getting a newer building is really the plan.
Right. So we would not start design until the bond passes, just be due to the cost associated with design.
Yeah, of course. Is there anything else that you want to say or anything you feel that I haven't brought up?
I don't think so. Other than just we have a pretty thorough bond website, and I would encourage anyone with with questions or seeking information to take a look at that. There's a place on there where you can submit a question, and we'll make sure you get that answered. There is a tax increase estimate calculator, so you can put in your home value, what the appraised value is of your home, and it will calculate for you what your estimated tax increase would be. Just talking about the deteriorating conditions of some of our oldest campuses, we had at one of our primary campuses, we had a sewer line collapse underneath the building early in the fall, and so we had to bring in portable restrooms for students and staff to use for about 30 days until we could get a repair made on that. One of our other primary campuses, we've had some issues with deteriorating gas lines and electrical lines, and so there have been three days this year where we've had to close that campus and relocate students while repairs are being made at that facility.